hearings will be what we call hybrid hearings. And we have done 21 of these hearings this year. They are approved by the Senate Rules Committee. They were highly applauded by the Democrats until we got to the Supreme Court justice nominee. And now they're saying, oh, we can't do that. We have to halt the hearings until everyone can appear in person. So
Did,
we
did
know
those
this.
hearings? I'm sorry about Skype. It always happens, Senator. Did those hearings that you just mentioned happen during recesses of the Senate?
Of course they did. And we started in May. May 6th was the first one. We have done judges. We have done James Comey. We have done Sally Yates. The list goes on and on. As I said, 21. And Hugh, we know that the Democrats are trying to delay and stall this because this isn't about having a judge there, a justice there, if we need it for the election or if we need it for the Obamacare hearing on November 10th. For the Democrats, delaying this is about having a constitutional justice on that court that would block them from implementing socialized medicine, the Green New Deal, DC statehood, felons voting, 16-year-olds voting. And it's all about their socialist takeover that they're trying to carry out with the election of Joe Biden.
Now, Senator Blackburn, last question on the hearings. Your colleague Tom Cotton, who is not on Judiciary but is very close to leadership, and you said on Maria Bartiromo's show yesterday that there will be a vote on Amy Coney Barrett on the floor of the Senate before the election. If necessary, they're going to adopt the tactics the Democrats use when they wheeled Robert Byrd in the wheelchair, often to vote for Obamacare. Do you have the same degree of confidence that there will be a vote on this nominee before the election?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to start our hearings on the 12th. They'll finish on the 15th. We will move to vote her from committee to go to the floor for the confirmation vote. The last week of October, we will hold that vote on the floor. Yes, we will hold that vote.
All right, Senator, let me turn to the mind of a conservative woman. I've marked out three quotes in particular I want to read you and get your response. Early in the book, you write, "We do exist," meaning conservative women. I'll tell you why. It is because most American women want freedom. I think the freedom agenda is what defines the Republican Party, and I think it defines conservative women. You want to expand on what the freedom agenda is?
Oh, absolutely. And Hugh, when I am talking to women's groups, and many times they'll say, I'm not Democrat or Republican, I'm independent. I look at the issues, I look at the candidates. So after a few years of hearing that, I started saying, tell me what your filter is. And they would say, I want somebody who believes in the Constitution, the rule of law, believes in equality, justice, fairness. I want government out of my way. I do not want them to make the decisions on my child's education or my family's health care. I want opportunity for everyone. And I realized what they were doing was giving me a conservative construct around how they approach issues. And freedom, free people, free markets. You can talk about it in front of any group, and they are going to want that. I very seldom meet someone who says, I want to hand my freedoms over to the federal government, and then they can give me back what they think I deserve.
Yeah,
And
yes.
when you distill it to that, people will agree with us and not with the Democrats.
Now, Senator, it's also been my experience with conservative women that they get along with everybody. They don't get into arguments. I'm going to test that. A very old friend of mine for more than 40 years is John Cooper, who is the mayor of Nashville now. We went to college together. We are old friends. He raised property taxes, I think, by 34% in Nashville, and he's had a tough, rough year as his first year of mayor. I'm sure he'll turn the boat around as soon as he can. Do you get along with people like Cooper, with Democrats? I mean, do you just have exchanges? 'Cause I don't. It's just my experience that conservative women don't get mad; they talk it through.
We do talk it through. And yes, I always say I am willing to have a conversation with anyone who wants to make the lives of Tennesseans and the American people better. And I fully believe that we should each try to leave things in better shape than we have found them and to give back more than we are taking. And I have plenty of friends who are Democrats and independents. And, Hugh, this nation and our freedoms have been well served and I think even preserved because we appreciate robust, respectful political debate. That is how we come to consensus. That is how we solve problems.
The reason I brought that up is because on page 15, my second of three quotes. Now I say all this, Marsha Blackburn writing in her new book, The Mind of a Conservative Woman, to contrast the average conservative woman with the Stepford minions of the left. I do not want to live the life of Julia, nor do you. I do not want to be a Stepford wife of liberalism, nor do you. I also do not want to be married to the state or believe of myself that I can achieve nothing unless Washington steps in. I will not be reduced by liberal talking points, by liberal shaming, by liberal definitions of who I am, and by liberal disregard of what God has made me to be. That's militant. It's polite, but it's militant, Senator.
Well, but it's true. And I believe that God creates each of us and He has a plan for our lives. And it is not up to the government to say, no, you can't live your life in faith. You can't live your life walking with God's plan for your life. Turn that over to the federal government. And I really believe that He has a plan for each of our lives, and it is our job to walk in His will.
I want one last quote on page 133. You're talking about the American system, the American Constitution. And this is important since you're on judiciary and you're going to be talking about the Constitution with Judge Barrett next week. It has worked well, you write. That is, until we began to see the media not just report the news, but report with bias and turn journalism into advocacy. This relatively recent trend was exacerbated and accelerated by the gift of the internet, close quote. Senator, I think this past 72 hours, we saw this unveiled as there was an attempt to turn a serious condition into an emergency, which is very different. And the president's coming home from the White House today; he's fine. But even his ride in the limo, which I think was intended as a memo, as a message to Putin and Xi and others, was turned into a scandal or tried to. I just think the media's kind of lost its mooring, and that has exacerbated political life in America.
Oh, absolutely, because it is a 24/7 stream of consciousness, basically, where they have their agenda, they have their point of view. They are not reporting facts and figures or stats or necessarily what is actually occurring. What they're reporting is their version of it and the way they think things should proceed, the way they think things should go. And so, what they will do is take a situation, they give their opinion of that situation, and then their assessment of what they think the next steps should be. It's as if they're conducting predictive diagnosis on different situations, and then they're applying that writ large to what they think is going to transpire in the future, the near future. I just think it is so wrong. Give me the facts, lay it out, and then let me make the decision.
A
But
last
try to tell me what I think.
A last question for you, Senator. Leader McConnell was my guest on Friday. I asked him if he agreed with me that at least four of your colleagues have violated Article 6 of the Constitution by imposing religious tests on judicial nominees. He did agree. Senator Feinstein, with the dogma, lives deeply within you. Senator Durbin, who's himself a Catholic like me, by asking Judge Barrett in her first hearing, are you an Orthodox Catholic? Senator Hirono by saying religion on the table, and Senator Harris by challenging the Knights of Columbus as a disqualifying membership. If this happens again, will you speak up in judiciary and demand that the question be gavelled out of order? There is a constitutional prohibition against this.
Yes, indeed there is. And it should be gavelled out of order. And I think you will see the chairman step in. What they are trying to do is to say, if you are a woman of faith who takes her children to church every Sunday, then that is a disqualifier. And listening to my friends on the left, you would think that they have decided that only secularists or atheists are allowed to hold a seat on the U.S. Supreme Court.
Do you have any doubt she's going to be confirmed? You earlier said that she's going to get a vote. We haven't heard the
Yeah.
hearings yet. Stuff can happen. We obviously know that. But knowing what you know now and having seen her come before, I guess you weren't on Judiciary when she came through the first time. Uh, do you expect her to be confirmed?
Oh, yes, I fully expect her to be confirmed. And if the Democrats choose not to show up, so be it. As
Senate,
long as we got 51, we're good.
Senator Blackburn, I love it. Senator Marsha Blackburn is the author of The Mind of a Conservative Woman, which is right here. Go and get it. And I think every conservative woman and people who love them will enjoy it. Thank you, Senator.